how you been, Amir? It's been a while. This is what your
Ye-
third appearance is?
Third, yeah, yeah.
So super
Thank
cool.
you
We're
so
glad to
much.
have you back. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're always really fun to talk to and it's super you explain things very well, I feel. So every time
Thank you.
I've listened to you talk, I really don't have to add much, if anything. So welcome back to the IRA Café Webinar Series. My name is Jasmine. I'm the head of the marketing department at American IRA. And we are joined for the third time by Amir Khan from Dream Prime Homes. And I know you have some new information to share and some more sort of statistics. And let me give you permission to share your screen. I think I'm going to make you a co-host, Amir. Just don't end the webinar.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. And I'm going to let
Um,
you take it away. Absolutely. We'll do Q&A any point you want. If you guys want to do a question as an attendee in the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, Amir, you should be able to see those and the audience will not see the questions until we answer them on our side.
that would be great. Yeah, I won't be able to see the chat as well because I'm so focused on the
Focused.
presentation itself. So we'll do that. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate it. Being invited again. And I like to keep my presentation as as to the point as I can. I just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, looks great. We
All
can see your
right.
screen.
So welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Our workshop today is titled Transform Your Retirement Account into a Wealth Generator and Create Passive Income Earning 12% with Real Estate Investments. So before I go forward, I do have to read this disclaimer. Real estate investments are not guaranteed, and any past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. There are risks associated with any investment. Please carefully consider all aspects of any opportunity before investing. We are not a licensed financial investment advisor, lawyer, and or tax professional. Please consult with your CPA and or financial tax advisors before making any investment decisions. The material in this guide should be used for general guidance and informational purposes only. All right, so having said that, this is the outline for today's presentation and the way I have it set up. So I should be done in about 20-25 minutes or so. And I will go through in quite a bit in depth about everything that is shown up here. But we will have enough time towards the end to answer any questions. So as you come across any questions, please hold them till the end, and I'll be happy to stay back and answer all your questions. All right. So having said that, just a little bit about myself. I'm based here in Dallas, Texas, and I started in real estate in early 2000s. I had no prior experience, so I basically learned everything as I went along. I started buying investment properties, primarily rentals in Fort Worth, Texas. And very soon I had a portfolio. I had single family homes, I had duplexes, I had triplexes, and I was managing everything by myself. So I was learning as I went along. And then later on, I set up a investment company with a partner, and we specialized in offering turnkey rental portfolio for our out-of-state clients. So we have many clients from California who were really aggressive in buying portfolios in Texas, and so that's something we were doing. So overall, I have over 20 years of experience as a landlord, done that. I have over 20 years experience as a property manager. I have over 20 years experience as a wholesaler. I have 5 years plus experience as a flipper. And I have at least 3 years plus experience in commercial real estate. I've owned and operated apartment complex without any partners. Our portfolio is in Texas, Ohio, and Illinois, and I am the managing partner of Dream Prime Homes. I also am a business owner. I own a music academy here in Dallas since 2009. I still operate it. We have a staff of 10 and about 150 students. And if you'd like to learn more about my background, here's my LinkedIn profile. Also on LinkedIn, I have written some posts, some I have written about real estate investments, specifically in about the Midwest, and so you can check those out as well. All right, so in today's workshop, I know many of you may already have a self-directed IRA, but I often see many people who are joining may have a retirement account, but may not have a self-directed IRA. For their benefit, I'm just going to go through this really briefly. A self-directed IRA is a type of tax-deferred account that allows individuals to invest in broader range of assets. So if you have a regular IRA or a Roth IRA or a 401k, you are only limited to invest in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But with a self-directed IRA, it opens up your investment horizons to specifically real estate and other assets as well. So obviously, all the benefit of deferring taxes are included. So this is just like any other retirement account, except that now you can invest in more assets. So in our real estate investment strategy, the one that I'm going to explain, you are acting as a private lender. So you are not involved in actually buying the property in your name. And so I'll just kind of go through five main um, benefits, as you may call it, for being a private money lender or being a private money lender. So number one, passive income stream. So private money lending provides a consistent and predictable return. So you'll know exactly going before going into an opportunity what your returns are and how consistent they're going to be rather than hypothetical. Number two, there is no property ownership responsibility. So let's say if you have experience as a landlord, you know how hard it is dealing with tenant issues, dealing with evictions and all that. So as a private money lender, you're not dealing with those. Number three, high returns on investments. Generally, your private money lending opportunity will offer higher returns compared to any other form of investment. Number four, collateral security. Every time you do any kind of a private lending product or opportunity, you will have collateral. It is covered so that in case of default, the lender can always foreclose on the property. Number five, you have flexibility and control, which means you're not just blindly going into any kind of investment without knowing what it is. You'll know exactly what deal you're investing in. All right, so now let's start by, if you were ever curious, and I was, if you ever wanted to know what do banks do with your money when you deposit it, literally, if you Google this, your answer would be banks use the money in deposit accounts to make loans to other people and businesses. And in return, bank receives interest payments on those loans from borrowers. And which banks do this? All of them. Capital One, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Bank of America, you name it, right? Now, if you were to do the same thing for insurance companies, and if you were curious, what do insurance companies do with the premiums? And if you Google it, you'll get this answer. Most insurance company will generate revenues in two ways, charging premium in exchange for insurance coverage, but then they reinvest those premium into other interest generating assets. And which insurance company do this? All of them. AIG, State Farm, Allstate, you name it, right? So my question to you is, would you like to be in the same business as them? And that's exactly what private lending is. So graphically showing this is how it works. And if some of you have, if you've already done private lending, this will build up on that. So in our scenario, you are the private money lender. You are funding a single property. We are not offering a fund. This is not a security. So you are the only lender for this one single property, and you are the main lien holder. So you are protected, secured, and insured. We are the borrower in this transaction, which means you're receiving a monthly principal interest payment on your funding. You are protected in four ways. You have a mortgage, which is created that places the deed of trust as collateral in favor of the lender. There is a promissory note, which is created that lays down the terms. All our promissory note are on a 5-year term. There is always title insurance policy. We buy actually two title insurance policies. One is for the borrower that stays in our name, and we buy one for our lender. And then, of course, there is property insurance, which places the name of the lender as the primary beneficiary. Now, this is our model. We call our model passive income portfolio via real estate investment. And I'll explain how the portfolio part comes in. So there are 7 aspects to it. Number one, you're investing, like I explained earlier, as a private money lender. And we are only investing in residential real estate. So we are not doing commercial real estate. Number two, you are protected, secured, and insured, just like I explained in the previous slide. Number three, does not require you to involve yourself in finding, researching, buying, or managing real estate. You do this completely passively. Number four, you earn 12% on each loan, which is fully amortized over 5 years. Number five, this opportunity is open to both non-accredited and accredited investors. Number six, average loan amount is $30,000 and there's no limit on number of loans you can make. There is, like I said, one investor to one property. And number seven, lenders using their self-directed IRA obviously earn and compound their earnings within the tax sheltered account. And I'll show that a little bit more as we go along. So I did show you this slide, the left side earlier. I wanted to show you how we structure our deals. So what are we doing with these homes, right? So if you now see the right side of the graph, you'll see that we then go out and find the term that we use is tenant buyers because we are not renting these homes. We are not renting them out. So what we are doing is we are not doing any kind of fix up. We are not doing any kind of a rehab to these properties. We are buying them on cash, and I'll go through the details on what kind of properties and all that. I just wanted to show you the structure. We are just turning around and seller financing them to the end user, right? We call them tenant buyers. The contract that we use is called a land contract, an installment contract, or agreement for deed. Depending on the state you're in, the terminology is slightly different. However, they all work in the same way, which means we hold on to the deed and we create this mortgage. And the terms of the mortgage is that once they pay off the mortgage, the deed is transferred at that point. So in this whole transaction, if you are the lender, you funded the deal, you remain on that note, we give you a 5-year note, then we turn around and create a 30-year mortgage for the tenant buyer, but the deed stays in our name. The benefit of this structure is that while the tenant buyer has equitable interest in the property, what that means is that they can upgrade the property, they can put their sweat equity into the property and sell it at the price that we had sold them at when we created that mortgage. That's their equitable interest in this transaction. But they are responsible for repairs, they are responsible for maintenance, and all the other headaches that come with being a landlord. We just shifted that over. So we and our lender have now become the bank. So in terms of steps, I like to show this so you understand how this is happening. Many of my lenders have self-directed IRA, which means the funds are coming from their self-directed IRA account, which means obviously it's tax sheltered and it's going back into that account. So I'm just showing you graphically how it works. So let's say you are a private money lender and you have a self-directed IRA account with American IRA. And if you don't, then towards the end, I'll show you how you can do that. And so you are going to fund the deal that we bring to you. Now, even though I've shown the arrow showing that the funds are coming to us, the funds never actually come to our account. No matter how many deals you do with us, the funds will, when you wire the funds, when the funds are wired from your self-directed IRA account from American IRA, they're always sent directly to the title company and held in escrow until all the paperwork is done and completed. That's when the funds are dispersed. So that would be step one. Step two is once we close, we are now in the process. We have a whole marketing team. We are in the process of finding a end user for our property. And by the way, these end users are three types of end users. We call them tenant buyers, but there are three categories. Number one, these are people who will make their home. They will stay there, they will make it their home, they will put their sweat equity into the home. Number two, it's tradesmen like roofers, plumbers, contractors who buy them. Sometimes they repair them, or sometimes they have their staff living there. They may do whatever they want with them. So that's the second kind of a tenant buyer. The third kind are other investors who want to, get started in real estate. So for a very small down payment, they can, get into real estate this way. So again, we are managing in this process. Step number two, we are managing the payments. We are responsible for collections. We are responsible for evictions. We manage the whole process. So that's step three. Going into step four, we are collecting payments from them and the funds are coming back into us. And then we are making the payments back into your self-directed IRA account. So this is how it works. I do want to mention that even though we might have tenants who are either late or not paying, we like to continue making our payments to our private money lender. So now let's talk about specific, what kind of assets are we buying? Number one, we are always buying single family homes that are 2 bedroom, 1 bath or larger. Number two, most homes that we buy them on cash, so we're buying them at substantial discount. Therefore, they do require work, but they're either habitable or they are very close to being habitable. Number three, we buy in areas where the average rent will support our financing model. And I'll go into that a little bit more as we go further. And then where are we buying these homes? So number one, we always buy in states that are landlord friendly, which means we are definitely not buying in California. We are currently buying assets in the Midwest, and these markets include St. Louis, Missouri, Cahokia, Illinois, East St. Louis, Illinois, Toledo, Ohio, Muncie, Indiana, and similar markets. Here are some example of some of the properties and approximately how much they were bought at, so you have some idea. St. Louis, Missouri, this home was 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It was bought for 24,950. It was sold to our tenant buyer for a very small down payment of $2,500 down, $795 a month, with a sales price of $59,000. Now, this $59,000 is our approximate after repair value of the house that we use as a reference. So in different markets, it's going to be different. Muncie, Indiana. This home needed a lot more work. It was purchased for 15,900 from a wholesaler. We sold it to a tenant buyer for $75,000, financed for 30 years at 12% with a monthly payment of 750 or more. So these are some examples, but the reason why I wanted to show you was number one, even though you can see some of the purchase prices are less than 30,000 on an average, our loan amount is always 30,000. The difference plus the down payment that we receive from the tenant buyer is always kept as a reserve for any eviction or any other vacancy issues that we have for the asset. Now let's talk about talking about the portfolio, how we develop portfolio for our clients. So let's take a single example to see how it works. So if you did one loan, like I said, our average loan is $30,000. There's one lender to one property. And I explained before, you're protected, secured, and insured. And this is within your tax sheltered account. So the funds are coming from your self-directed IRA, and the interest in principal and interest is going back into your self-directed IRA. So let's assume the loan was made on the 1st of January 2025, and we are paying 12% interest. The loan is fully amortized over 5 years. That will give you a monthly payment of $667.33. So that's your principal and interest. So your loan will be completely paid off in 5 years because it's fully amortized. At the end, you will receive a total of $40,040, which means you will earn an interest just over $10,000 on your $30,000 investment. Now, if you were to figure out how this portfolio thing works, and I'll go into a bit more, like I said, you can buy as many as you like. If you had, let's say, $90,000 and you were to deploy this into this strategy, you will have three loans, each paying 12%, each returning 667.33 times three. you would have turned your $90,000 in 5 years to over $120,000. Now, why are we seeing a lot of fear in the market? I see a lot of people. This is actually a screenshot from a Facebook discussion about retirement income. There was a lady, she had a small portfolio, and she's been investing in the stock market, and she was losing money in the stock market, but she had no other choice. She was doing the same thing. She had lack of knowledge of how the stock market works, and then she was just following the advice her brokers were giving, who are, by the way, still making money, right? So she had fear of no income or having not enough nest egg during retirement, and she needed help. And so that's why we come up with something like this, which is our I call this the system that I'm going to explain, which creates a snowball effect. If you start with at least $60,000, you can more than double your account. So this is exactly what some of my clients are doing. Actually, two of my clients are with American IRA, and they're doing this exact same thing with this exact same amount. They started with $120,000, and for simplicity's sake, I'm just explaining it, assuming all loans were made on January 1st of year one. So if they started with $120,000, their balance will go to zero beginning of January. But as we pay, our first loan payment kicks in within 30 days. Towards the end of the month, you will receive interest payment from all three loans. So you will receive $2,668 towards the end of the month. So your balance will be now $2,668. So as you follow this for year one, you can see your monthly income is coming in and your balance is growing, obviously, right? And remember, this is within your self-directed IRA account, so there are no tax consequences. If you see in December, your balance goes over 30,000. So as soon as that happens, we redeploy that 30,000 into another loan. So if you look at January of the year, second year, now we have five loans and our cash flow is $3,335. So we keep repeating this process. As you can see, again in October of year two, we were able to deploy again. And we keep doing that. So if you go all the way to year five, we have as many as 13 loans, and our cash flow is $8,671. However, at the end of year five, four of our original loans are going to be paid off. So it's entirely your choice if you want to keep doing this. So in this scenario, our lenders have started with $120,000, and they will end up earning a total of $290,145. And their monthly income was 8,671, but I would average it to about $4,800 a month, because remember, after 5 years, it's going to go back down because four of the loans are going to be paid off. All right. So, but let's work backwards. Let's say you say, well, I just want $5,000 monthly income, passive income coming in with my principal secured, right? So we can work backwards. So if your time frame was you wanted that $5,000 immediately coming back to you, then you do need at least eight loans at $30,000. That means you would need at least $240,000 to start with. But let's say your time frame is that you can wait till 3 years to get that income generated, so you can begin with four loans at $30,000. That means you would need $120,000. It's basically the example I just showed you. But if you have more time and you can wait till middle of 5 years to have that kind of income, $5,000 a month, you can begin with just three loans. That is $30,000 each. You would need about $90,000. Now, I do have a very detailed, frequently asked questions. We are towards the end of the presentation, but if you still have specific questions, please write them down and I'll be happy to answer them. Question: how is my money secured and how is my investment protected? As I showed you before, there are four elements that we offer. Number one is a promissory note that spells out the terms of the loan and the payment schedule. Number two, there's a deed of trust created by the title company to put the property as collateral on the mortgage. Number three, there is title insurance policy that we buy in addition to the title insurance policy for the deed holder. That's us. That stays in your name. And then there's property insurance policy that also has protection in case of fire or anything like that. Question: does the investment terms and returns vary per deal? To ensure that it's easy and simple to work with us, we typically borrow $30,000 and we pay 12% interest, and our terms are always 5 years. Question: do I get to choose the property I will invest in? And the answer is yes. If you are accepted in our system, you will have access to our portal. When you log into our portal, you can see our deal flow, which will show you the properties that are currently available. When you click on any one of the property, you can see pictures, you can see video walkthrough. There's a very detailed report that we provide. It's more than 25, 30 pages. It is our underwriting. It has sold comps, it has rental comps, and it gives you property specs as well. So, and then after you review all of that, there is a link right next to the property information you're watching. You can click on it and commit on the property. So first qualified lender who commits on the property is assigned that property. So it's first come, first serve. Question: what if the tenant buyer, that's the end user who is occupying the property, stops paying? Well, if that happens, we start the eviction process, and we have a team on the ground that we manage efficiently, and we'll repeat the process, which means we'll get them out and we'll put another tenant buyer in the property. Your payment will never stop, and we'll continue to make payments to our private money lender because that's very important for us. And remember, we also keep substantial reserves to ensure that we can do that. Question: what if something was to happen to you? Who will make payments? Well, in case something was to happen to me, the property operates within an LLC and will continue to operate and pay per the promissory note by my heirs. Question: what if property I invest in burns down? So, like I mentioned before, there's a property insurance policy, and the lender is the mortgagee and an additional insured. So, you get paid off in case there's a fire. Question: what happens after 5 years? After 5 years on the payment, your loan is completely paid off. So at that time, you will sign a certificate of satisfaction to clear the lien against the title. Question: who collects the mortgage payments and deal with the tenants? So like I showed in my previous slide, we do all of that work. You only collecting your monthly payments. Question: when should I expect my first loan payment after closing? Depending on the closing date, our goal is to initiate payment within 30 days after closing. Question: do you already have clients with self-directed IRA doing this system with you? The answer is yes. And once you complete an application with us expressing interest as a private money lender, I will send you video testimonials of private money lenders who are currently doing this specific strategy with us. Question: I have some other question, and I'll show you that in the next slide. Before I do that, let me just explain, because we are a relatively small operation. I run everything by myself. All my private money lenders have direct access to me. They have my cell phone number. So if there's ever a question or a problem, they can directly get hold of me, which means my pool of investor is relatively small. And I like to keep it small because when I have to control the deal flow and I have to control the funds that are in our system. So if I have too many deals, then we have too many properties under contract and I don't have enough funds to deploy, then there's an imbalance. Similarly, if I have too many lenders in my program, I don't have enough deal flow, then what happens is my funds don't get deployed and my lenders are not happy. So because of that, we do have a little limitation. So at this time, I cannot accept more than 5 lenders. But if there were more applicants, then they will probably go into on a wait list. So this is what I would like to offer. Number one, uh, if you set up an appointment with me by taking a picture of the QR code, it'll take you to a form and you can set that up right now. I will send you the entire slideshow so you can review the slides as well. But I believe Jasmine will be sending you a recording of this as well. But if you do that, that will be your step one. Now, set up an appointment with me. Even if you don't have a self-directed IRA account, I can talk to you one-on-one, answer all your questions. If you have a self-directed IRA account with American IRA, then you're ready to go. Just get on the call with me and then we can talk about your plan. If you have a self-directed IRA with some other company right now, this is the best way for you to set up an appointment with me so I can tell you my experience and my client's experience with American IRA. They are great. One of the reasons you're probably here then is to see that they do these workshops. It's not just me, but they bring in so many other professionals and to educate you. So I can help you with that. And then beyond that, step two would be to set up an appointment with Kyle, who's great with American IRA, and he can answer all your questions. So let's say you have an account right now that is a regular kind of a retirement account, like a regular Roth IRA or a 401k with your old employer. There are ways where we can help you roll over your retirement account into a self-directed IRA account. By the way, if you have a some kind of a retirement account and you don't want to use the entire funds in that retirement account for private lending, you can do a partial rollover into a new self-directed IRA account and use that exclusively for doing private lending and this kind of a project. So we can both help you with that. So please follow these steps. Step one would be to scan the QR code, set up an appointment with me. I have appointments available this week. I'm going to be out of town the week after, but I have appointments available. Step two would be to set up an appointment with Kyle, and he can answer all your questions. And with that, I am done. And Jasmine, if you have any
Yeah.
questions, I can answer.
Golly, no, I
I went
you
just a little bit
definitely
over. I was
covered it.
planning on 25 minutes.
Yeah, no, you did great. I love that. I don't know. I saw that you answered questions that were on your slide. Did we get to all the Q&A tab questions? I know that you were kind of myopic. You might have already answered most of those.
It's possible. Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
have the FAQ.
I think at the end, can you provide the PowerPoint to us? And you said yes. If you scan that QR code, make an appointment with you, you'll send the link to the slides, right?
Correct. I will do that. What it does is, as soon as you complete the form, it sends a uh, yeah, I'll make sure that everybody gets one.
Okay, fantastic. Perfect, perfect. Someone asked, what are your fees associated with this?
Yeah, so that's the best news. We do not charge any fees at this point. We are a small company. We work very intimately with each one of our lenders, so we do not charge any fee. Obviously, there will be some fees involved on your fund side. When I say fund, I mean your self-directed IRA. So if you're with American IRA, Jasmine, you might know the fees,
Yep.
wiring fee and asset management fee. So it doesn't matter wherever your account is, they're going to be charging you anyway. From our side, there are no fees.
How long have you been doing this, Amir?
Yeah, so I have over 20 years of experience. This is specific model I've been doing for about 2 years now.
Fantastic. Will you send a recording? Yes, I will send a recording and also like a show notes, kind of a overview of the highlights. So that will be sent out, if not this afternoon, possibly tomorrow. So yeah, everybody will get that. What is the process to invest with you, I presume, if you don't have a self-directed IRA? Are you inviting investors who are not using their IRA funds?
So, um, the reason why we are doing this with the American IRA is because I want to educate you. And I mean, Jasmine is also there for that reason. Obviously, you can. But always remember when you're not using a tax deferred account, there are tax consequences. So our goal is to show you the best possible way to not just earn as much as you can from funds, whether they are for retirement or for any other reason, but then maximize it. And then, so my question to you is, even though I'm not saying you should do that, but my question to you is, when you have this opportunity available that you can set up a self-directed IRA account and use that tax deferral to maximize your return, right? Otherwise, there are tax consequences. So the short answer is yes, you can still invest without having your funds in self-directed IRA account. However, just be aware that on all your interest income, you will be taxed.
Sorry, I muted because there's somebody cutting the grass or something outside.
Okay.
um, do you have to be with American IRA to be an investor with you? No, I know that's probably true, but it makes it easier and preferred. But I think the answer to that is no, that you'll welcome other self-directed IRA companies, but I hope not.
I can tell you that I do work with some other custodian company, and American IRA is the first one that I started working with, and they are fantastic. I can tell you that yeah, it's just natural when as companies grow and become big and big, it is harder and harder to get hold of people. And I can tell you, just try calling American IRA, and I have actually referred a lot of my colleagues to American IRA, and I'm telling you, they have good things to say about them. And they've all set up, and many of them are real estate investors themselves. And they've all wanted to be with someone not only who understands what they're trying to do, but have experience with this. So yeah, I mean, you can make your own judgment, but that's why I'm saying, even if you don't want to do that, just set up an appointment with Kyle, see
Yeah,
what else American IRA can do, because I can tell you, for a custodian and for you, let's say you have an account, and I don't know your situation. I deal with some clients who do multiple things in their account, right? So some custodians charge a substantial fee on the assets that you have within your account.
we
Some
do.
custodians charge a lot per transaction. So it's worth your while to at least set up an appointment with Kyle and then compare what you're paying right now and compare with, what Kyle can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing to do. Definitely do your due diligence. I know I forgot to read my disclaimer before yours. The same sort of thing. We're not advisors. Just because you have a platform as a professional in your field does not mean that we are endorsing you. Definitely do your own due diligence should you choose to enact upon any business or financial decisions you hear today. Lots of research, lots of questions on both sides, from Amir, from us at Kyle, or whoever you need to talk to, your CPA. They can all answer your questions for you before you make any big choices. We had two questions asking about the risks or the negatives. So, what would be a risk for your investors?
Yes, the biggest risk is whoever you're working with is the operator. So that's going to be me. So that's what you need to when you do an appointment with me, you can ask me anything you want, obviously. Uh, and so that's something that you have to assume that I'm going to be around and I'm going to do what I'm promising you that I'm going to be doing. Obviously, I'm going to say that I'm going to do that, but on your side, you have to do your due diligence. Check out my background, check out how long I have been. That's why I like to show my LinkedIn profile, even though I haven't had a job for more than 20, 25 years. LinkedIn is a good, even though you can go and change your thing, but it's very hard to constantly change these things. Things stay on the internet for a long time. So LinkedIn is a good way to see what someone has been doing and whether what they're saying is consistent with what they're doing. So that's one way. That's why I share my background with you, because I'm a business owner also, and I own a music academy, and it's still operating. It does really well, and so that is number one risk. Now, the other risks are all the other risks that are involved in this specific strategy is on our side, which means managing the process, which means finding the tenant buyers. And so the biggest risk, and I say it's a risk on our side, is when a tenant stops paying. But that is what I like about this model, because, like I said, I've been doing this for more than 20 years. But when I learned this model, that's where I think it's one of the least riskiest things that you can get involved with. Biggest reason is that we are transferring all the responsibilities of repairs and maintenance of property, which is the biggest cost of doing any kind of a real estate, investment project. You're transferring it onto them, right? So they're the one responsible for that. Now, the other risk is if they stop paying, well, what do you do? Well, that's the other thing we do. We always operate in states that are landlord friendly, which means they have a very streamlined and straightforward process. Somebody stops paying, You have to give them a notice on 10-day, depending on the what's in your agreement. For our agreement states if the payment is not made within 10 days, we provide them three type of notice. Number one, goes by email, goes by mail, and then third, we actually post it. Somebody physically goes to their door and posts the note on their door saying that you are late 10 days. And if it's not brought current in the next 15 days, we will actually file for eviction. And I can tell you 99% of the people who are, genuinely wants to, because if somebody goes out of their way to come up with a down payment and move their family, they're going to try to make it work. And in 99% of the cases, they bring their account current. So that's the negatives of this strategy. But again, all of this is on our side, and that's why that's something we handle. Our private money lenders are just paid automatically every month. All our private money lenders are set up with the automatic ACH, which means at the beginning of the first of the month, the ACH is initiated. So depending on how many properties you have, your funds are coming back into your self-directed IRA account.
Fantastic. I think that answers the question, I would hope. Two people asked, is this for accredited and non-accredited investors? I think you said at the very beginning they might have joined late.
Yes, it is open to both accredited and non-accredited investors.
Fantastic. Do you need an LLC inside of your self-directed IRA to do this sort of investment? I believe the answer is no, that you can do it straight up. You don't have to do it inside, but you could do it inside an LLC.
That's correct, and that's a very good question. I guess it depends. Also, there is, and I don't want to confuse you, but there is something called a LLC or a checkbook control. What that simply means is, because remember, this is a IRS approved retirement account, right? Even though the IRS is saying that you can self-direct it, but it comes with some responsibilities, and the responsibility is that you need to know what are prohibited transactions. For example, you cannot just invest or fund something that you own, right? Something like there's a whole bunch of requirements. So when you have an account and you don't have an LLC, you're hoping, and if you're with American IRA, when an investment opportunity comes in, you will provide the documentation to your custodian company, in this case, American IRA. They will approve it, or they'll make sure that, yes, this is a legitimate opportunity, and the funds will be initiated from there, right? So they're involved in making sure that happens. And this has to be done every time. It's done rather quickly, but that's how it's done, right? Now, if you decide to do a checkbook version, that's when you will set up a LLC, and you will literally have a checkbook option to simply write a check to whoever you want to. However, there's more now on you to make sure that you do not indulge yourself in any one of those prohibitive accounts or transactions. But so the answer is yes, you can do it without setting up an LLC, but you can also do a LLC, and you can. That's another thing that probably Carl can give you a little bit more information, in-depth answer on that as well.
Yeah, and we have tons of resources. We actually just posted a blog not too long ago about prohibited transactions.
Oh, okay.
And we work with a sister company called Turnkey, and that's what they do. They do the document preparation for checkbook control LLCs. So if you're interested in more information about that, we definitely have a ton on our website, americanira.com/blog, is all the blog posts, and there you can search, and just lots of them. Two more questions in the Q&A tab. Joe asks, how is my money secured?
So yeah, so there is I don't know if you saw, there were a couple of slides where I explained this, and you'll have a recording of this as well. There's four things that we do. Number one, there is a promissory note that spells out the terms of the loan. There is a mortgage created that places you as the mortgagee, and the property has the first lien position because there's only one lender to one property. There is a property insurance, and you're listed as additional insured. So if the property burns down, you are paid off. Remember, you're the only lender. There's no other lien. And number five, we also have a title policy that we buy for our lenders as well. So there are two title policies, one for the deed holder, that's us, and then we buy one for for our lenders in case there are title issues that might come up. So those are the four things that have protection.
Oh, Joe says he saw the slide after he submitted the
Oh,
question.
okay.
So everyone got it twice. We're good. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for submitting the question. Last question in the Q&A tab, and I believe you answered this as well, but let's ask this one for clarification. Who will pay for the additional costs, like, for example, the cost of eviction, for you to pass it on to the private lender? So if they're like those kind of extemporaneous costs, something goes awry, the eviction costs, the cleaning costs, flipping the house, whatever you have to do.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a very, very good question. I think you have been paying very close attention to the presentation, and I appreciate that bringing it up. All of those costs are absorbed by us. And if you also follow some of the portfolio that I shared with you, if you saw the price of some of these homes are not exactly 30,000, they might be 28,000, 25,000. So remember, our loan is always 30,000. So there is some spread in there that we keep as reserve. So that's number one. Number two, remember when we put a tenant buyer in there, we also take a down payment from them. So it may be as little as $2,000 to up to $5,000. That's also is in reserve. Those are the two main ways where we absorb these costs. So all of these costs are absorbed by us. They are not transferred on to our private money lender. Like I said, from our side, we do not charge anything for our services.
Very good. We had another question come in. Tracy asks, previously in the presentation, you mentioned a typical deal. Can't remember the exact number, she says. The purchase price was about 25,000, the sales price of 60,000, when the loan of 30,000. So what happens to the equity that is the difference between the purchase price and the sales price?
Right. So, so let me, yeah, that's a very, very good question, and I appreciate you asking this. So let me go back and explain. So, I didn't talk about this because this can make this presentation 1 hour. But very briefly, let me explain what's happening in the market. And I'm really excited about this because uh, it will make you understand why this strategy actually works and why this is incredible. So that's why I encourage you to go on my LinkedIn profile and read my blog post that I actually was posted by American IRA also that talks about why this is a great opportunity. So here it is. Most real estate investors invest. In fact, if you ever done any kind of real estate investments, you're always taught that always invest in market where market is appreciating. We are doing the opposite. So I don't want to scare you, but let me explain this. What's happening is, and you all know that there is a huge, huge housing crisis right now in the entire United States. Okay, not just in the Midwest, but in the entire United States. So what's happening is there are many pockets. It's not everywhere, but there are many pockets, specifically in the Midwest. What's happening is over a period of time, the neighborhoods people have been moving out. It's not, I'm not talking about drastic like Detroit, but over a period of 2 decades, 3 decades, people have been moving out, so there's population decline. Because of that and some other economic reasons, the property values have been stagnant. They hadn't declined, but they have been stagnant for like 10, 20 years. So then what happened is suddenly they started hitting something we call a threshold, where below that threshold, the banks in those markets do not lend. So for example, in some markets, bank do not lend under $70,000. So if your home is listed for $60,000 and you want to buy it, even if you qualify, the banks won't lend you money because in those markets, their minimum is $70,000. So that's just one criteria. So banks are not lending there, right? Number two, if banks are not lending there, guess what? The people who come in and fix old homes, they're called fix and flippers. They make a spread. They only make a spread if there's property appreciation. Since there's no property appreciation, so there's not enough spread there. So they're not coming in these markets and they're not doing this anymore. So the property are in these areas are declining. They're declining over a period of time. So over a long period of time, you have more and more boarded up homes and people moving out of the neighborhood. So here we are. We come in, we find homes that are habitable. We always are very careful. We don't buy homes that have leaking roofs. We don't buy homes with foundation issues. We don't buy homes that have a missing furnace or water heater, electrical box. They all have to be in working condition. So we come in, We buy these homes for cash. So obviously we buy them at discount, substantial discount, right? But then we turn around and we tell these homeowners who are living in the neighborhood anyway, they're paying market rents, $800, $900 for a three-bedroom home. So we come in, our financial model will work with that $30,000 number. And we come in and we say, look, we'll take a chance with you and we will finance this home for you, right? So now your question was about that equity. That equity is, we call that a phantom equity. We are creating that equity by estimating what the after repair value for such a home that is bought at 30,000 and is three bedroom, one bath, let's say 1,200 square feet. If that house is upgraded to the standard that we think it should be, then we think the equity will be $60,000. Now, her question is, well, what happens to that equity? Well, as is, the home is still worth $30,000. Remember, that's what whatever somebody pays for a home, that's what the as is value is. The as is value is 30,000, but this person who moves in realizes, wow, I can really make this work, and upgrades the home, upgrades the kitchen, upgrades the flooring, makes their home, lives in there for 4 or 5 years or more. And then if you do the appraisal and the appraisal does hit $60,000, it's going to be their equity. But the thing is, our sales price was $60,000. So if they sell for more than $60,000, whatever the difference is will be theirs, but they have to pay us, the deed holder, $60,000 because that's what the sales price is. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm sorry it's a long explanation. I really wanted to explain this because otherwise, if I just said phantom equity, you would say, well, that doesn't make sense. But that equity exists because that's what the after repair value estimate is.
Made sense to me. That was a lot to explain. I hope that helps, Tracy. Anthony asks, what is the minimum amount needed in our American IRA account to be an investor with you? Your minimum investment is 30,000. American IRA has an account minimum depending on whether you have a regular IRA account or a 401k. And the like traditional Roth IRA, that's 750. You have to keep that in your account, and then you have to be able to pay your annual fee, which is either 285 or 450, depending on your choice, and then your transaction fees. So like wire fee, a transaction fee, blah, 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 the little miscellaneous administrative hard costs. Your minimum's 30,000 plus the American IRA fees. I mean, if you had 35,000, that would probably cover what you needed to do in your American IRA account, I would say minimum.
But by the way, I'd like to say this, of all the other custodian companies I work with, American IRA accounts, American IRA's fee structure is on one page
Hmm.
and it lists everything.
Everything. It's all there.
So
Yeah.
I've gone to many other custodians and you literally have to ask them and to get all the idea of what the structure is. So they will send you this one page and it has everything on it.
Yep.
I like
It's
that.
one page fee schedule, and it's everything. There's no little hidden cost. You could calculate what your transaction is going to be or how much you
Mhm.
need to have on your own, um, you know, every time you do a transaction. So it's very, very transparent. Um, again, what returns do we receive on the typical 30,000? And you say 12%?
12%, it's fully amortized over 5 years. So your monthly principal and interest is $667.31, right? So if you wanted to compare cash on cash, it's over 33% because at the end of the 5 year term, you would have earned an interest of 10,000, just over $10,000.
Wow. That's really fun. That sounds amazing. I wish I had $30,000 just to be like, here. That's the next question and the last question we're going to have today. I have a checkbook control, I presume LLC. Can I just send a check directly to Dream Prime Homes? I would say to probably set up an appointment with you to
Yeah,
discuss the particulars before you
let's
write
talk
that
about
check.
that that way. That would be best.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop my screen share.
Yeah,
That way you have
absolutely.
control, or do I have to transfer this over or?
No, no, we're good.
Okay.
We're good to go. So thanks so much, Amir. We've really enjoyed having you again. And if you have any other questions, you can get to Kyle at AmericanIRA.com. Amir had his contact information on the screen. There will be this recording sent out, also a little blurb with the highlights. And we've really appreciated you having you back. So thank you so much. And maybe we'll have you in a few weeks or maybe later this summer. That would be cool too.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
see you guys
you.
later.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good day.